Every decent man and woman is listening to Test Miles with Nick Miles on FM News 101 KXL. Buckle in.
10:06 on a Sunday morning, and it's time to talk for the next 60 minutes about cars, your weekly automotive experience. I'm Nick Miles, and you're listening to America's Automotive Radio Show. This is Test Miles, locally created, nationally celebrated. A little of a cracked voice this morning. A lot of television over the last week. I was talking for about 12 hours a day, and so I'm a little hoarse. Anyway, congratulations to, by the way, this is a spoiler. If you're watching the F1 race right now and you don't know the answer, block your ears, because congratulations to Lewis Hamilton, who has joined Formula One's illustrious ranks of double world champion after the victory this week or today. And it was a very, very interesting race, I would say, in Abu Dhabi, the Grand Prix, emphatically clinching him the 2014 driver's title in a race which he only needed to finish second. Hamilton's pre-race promise to drive like he stole it became reality in the opening seconds of the race, as an electrical getaway saw him vault past his pole position rivals into the lead before turn one. Back in the real world, we've assembled a team of car freaks for this week's Test Miles show. Zhenya, our intern, our producer Sean Walker, Brad, the father of the show, and Oli, the Viking Volvo seller. So every week we like to talk cars, and we have been test driving some vehicles. We'd like to give you our strong our perspective, I would say, on the vehicles, of what we think they're like before you get out and test them for yourself. So this week I've been test driving a number of vehicles, and I hope Sean and Brad have as well. The Subaru WRX and the Honda Fit is what I've been in. Let's talk about the Subaru WRX, a four-door compact sedan, very quick. It's impressive acceleration for a vehicle of its size, very strong grip, and easy to hold the road. Of course, Subaru's famous symmetrical all-wheel drive. Above average as far as things is concerned, is there's what we call, I guess, rocket pockets or pocket rockets, the little hot hatches. It does tend to lead the pack with those cars. 2-liter four-cylinder boxer engine and a 2.5-liter available as well. 268 horsepower or 305 horsepower. 6-speed manual, and there is a CVT with paddle shifters, which has upset Zhenya completely, because he doesn't feel like a WRX would have a CVT in it. But, of course, he's living in the purest world where manuals are everything. 19 miles a gallon, 17 city, 23 on the highway, 19 average. And for the CVT combined, 24, 21 city, and 28 on the highway. Its competition is the Mitsubishi Evo, which is ending production this year with a special edition. And it has the premium limited edition, basically what you can get it in. $26,295 the starting price. Also looking at the Honda Fit. The sad thing about this Honda Fit is the color that Honda chose to send their test vehicle to us in. It looks like yellow that possibly got a bit dirty. It's kind of a dirty, lemony yellow. A 5-door hatchback, unmatched from the small car for versatility with Honda's magic seats. An interesting design, much better than I think the last generation. It is a car that initially you don't want to like, but you actually do fall in love with once you drive it.
So is this the one that you could still, like, hose out?
I don't think so. I think it has carpet in it. I don't think carpet does it too well.
That's the element.
Oh, that's the element. That's right. The Fit.
Yeah, the Fit is the small one. It has a 6-speed manual transmission or a CVT, front-wheel drive. 6-speed manual gets 32 miles a gallon, which is 29 in the city, 37 on the highway. The CVT, 35 miles a gallon combined, 32 in the city, 38 on the highway. Its competition, the Ford Fiesta, the Chevy Sonic, and the Nissan Note. It comes in multiple different trim levels, as Honda are famous for doing. The LX, the EX, the EXL, and the EXL, and it has Navi as well. $15,650 starting price. I would tell you, I would give the WRX a 10 out of 10. I would give this a 9 out of 10.
Can you fit in this well?
Yes. It's actually very roomy. They've done lots of things to make it more roomy on the inside. Really, it's hard. This segment is so competitive, and every time I drive a different car, I think, oh, yes, this is the one I'd buy in this segment. And today I feel like that for the Honda Fit. Tomorrow, if I'm driving the Fiesta or the Sonic or the Note, I'll probably feel differently. Although the Note sounds like a good deal, but when you get into it, I didn't like the Note as much as I like the Honda Fit. So I think it's a good, good choice. All right, Sean, what have you been driving?
I'm driving the 2015 Corolla S. It was a car that I actually was impressed with. I went in very open-minded and was impressed how nice it actually is. It's very comfortable driving. The S has a little more extra body panels, a black grille to give it a little more styling. The only bad thing I found about it was they have a 3.5-inch touchscreen navigation that you can put multiple information up, like your navigation, radio. And sometimes the text looks a little small for as big as the screen, but that's the only downfall I have with the car.
For those old and blind amongst us.
Yeah, I have some context because without it, I wouldn't be able to see. Has a 1.8-liter inline four-cylinder, 132. I mean, it's not a screamer or anything, but it still handles really nicely.
It did take, it is the number one seller in the United States in the subcompact.
It's like the number one seller all time.
I guess it's compact cars.
Yeah, but it's the number one seller all time. It's been around for years. It's the 11th generation.
Civic, it knocked the Civic off this year.
Yeah.
So the Civic was the number one last year, and this is the number one this year.
So starting price is $16,900. The one I'm driving is a little over $18,000. I've been getting 32 miles a gallon in the vehicle.
The question is, would you own it?
I don't know because it's not a segment that I'm in, but yeah, I mean, I'm actually enjoying driving the car. So I think if I had to go out and buy a small compact car, yeah, this would be on my list.
All right.
I'm not a compact fan, and obviously everyone knows that. I'm a sports car kind of guy or a truck guy, but for a town car or anything, because I am looking into sedans, because it's nice to actually be able to travel people more than just a one passenger. It's nice to put someone in the rear, but yeah, it's a nice car.
In your lineup of cars, you do have a sedan in your house.
Yeah, that doesn't get touched. That's like the, and actually, isn't my sedan parked at your house?
Yes, it is. And don't worry, I'm giving you a discount on parking. Brad, have you been driving anything to talk about this week?
I didn't have anything yet. I just got the Cadillac ATS on Friday, so I'm going to hold off on my review. I'm still learning the infrastructure system in there, but it takes there's a learning curve.
We talked before the show. Brad's not impressed.
Not yet, but I'm going to give it time. That's why I'm not going to take 2 days and do that. No, I've been driving a lot of town cars this week for Lucky Limousine, which is interesting because there is no longer a Lincoln Town Car. So in the city, you have to get rid of your cars after 10 years.
I did notice the MKT, which is Cadillac's kind of station wagon SUV thing. MKT. I'm not really sure. Lincoln's MKT. I'm being told Lincoln by Genia, our intern. Lincoln's MKT. It does have town car written across the bottom of the door now.
And it's not selling. It's not in our industry.
It's roomy enough, I think, for a town car.
So I'm very much looking forward to the 900 from Kia, and then we're going to look at the Aquis as the vehicle, too, as a good substitute for that big sedan vehicle that's a lot less money.
You'll never replace the old Lincoln Town Car trunk.
No, and that's the deal.
You could get this whole show in the trunk, and we'd have room. We'd have extra room.
It is stunning.
It's a mobster's dream car.
Absolutely. No, none of you go there, because then we'd have to hit the delay button. All right, Jenny, have you been driving anything this week?
Yeah, the Jeep Wrangler in Forza Horizon. I'll tell you this, don't drive the car sporty. It leans like nothing I've ever driven in that game before. If you drive it fast and you throw it into a corner, it just goes...
Don't go so fast. I'm taking notes for when I get Forza, okay? So don't drive it in sporty mode.
No.
All right.
Drive it off-road, it does fine.
All right. It's kind of like the real thing then, really, isn't it? All right, let's talk to Oli about Deal of the Week. Oli, what do you got for us this week? What great buy for everybody?
Well, this week's Deal of the Week will take you up, pal, to over in Southeast to Grand Prix Motors, where there is a 2006 Audi S4 Avant, a fairly hard car to find. This one is with 89,000 miles, Dolphin Gray with black Alcantara leather, coming in at 21,900. And if you go look over there at Grand Prix, they have a lot of nice stuff: Porsches, Ferraris, this Audi.
Yeah, and so they're kind of hard to find in this age, or just in general?
Well, I think if you look at 2006, there's only so many S4 wagons, so that's where you get into the Avant, and then you have the 4.2 V8, 340 horse, kind of a sporty wagon. I think anytime you have a sport wagon, and not just, I think with Audi, there's just less production in kind of sport wagons than they are in a lot of other cars.
Excellent. All right, so Sean's going to put that up on our Facebook so you can go find it for you again. What was it one more time?
The car?
Mm-hmm. No. No, your kids' names.
No, the car or the place. It's a 2006 Audi S4 Avant. It's in Dolphin Gray.
All right. It kind of worries me when they have animal names and colors of cars.
Well, I had to look it up. I mean, they have it just as gray, and then somebody gets to sit around and come up with car names and paint names, and that may be the best job in the world. I don't know what you do. You're like, oh, this...
Puppy gum pink.
Yeah. Oh, what's this? Like that color, that yellow, that fit you were talking about. Who knows what the name of that is?
From an inside perspective, I can tell you something about this. When automakers name colors, it's purely a marketing exercise.
Yeah.
Because they'll have, for instance, Lexus and Toyota will have the same color, but it'll be called something different on one side because they feel it meets the needs of the brand differently. So let's say on a Toyota side, it could be Ruby Crown Red, and on a Lexus side, it could be Royal Velvet Red.
Sassy Sapphire.
Yeah. Well, that would be more sort of the Honda Fit type of color.
Oh, okay.
Those type of things. However, they have the same colors. They just call them different things.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, you're listening to Test Miles in FM News 101 KXL. Coming up, we're going to be talking LA Auto Show. John Vincent, Jeff Zerschmied are here. We will be talking about what they saw at the LA Auto Show. And also, in our third break, Peter Clover's here. And Peter will talk to us about how you can get an auto start system installed in your car and have it warm or cool when you go outside in the weather to make sure it's comfortable for you to drive. That and more when Test Miles returns. I'm Nick Miles.
Test Miles, like NASCAR, but with one right turn. TestMiles.com.
Welcome back to Test Miles. Has your driveway been good this year? Portland Auto Show is offering tickets to the show February 5th through the 8th, 2015, and stocking stuffers. Just for $10, you can go to portlandautoshow.com to get yours. I saw the guys from the Portland Auto Show on the plane back from the LA Auto Show this week, and they were very excited about this. All right, here's a fun fact for you that you can impress your friends with. The longest traffic jam in the world was 110 miles long between Paris and Lyon on the French autoroute in 1980. Okay, the LA Auto Show opened Friday morning in Los Angeles with some of the new cars, trucks, and SUVs that you will see in showrooms in the coming year, and some vehicles that are just pure fantasies, some concept cars that will never be built. Joining us in studio, the gentleman who can now tell us all about those cars, and they were there with me, John Vincent and Jeff Zerschmied. You guys were in LA. We have so many cars to talk about, so little time. Gentlemen, what impressed you?
Well, I think the biggest story out of LA is the proliferation of the compact and subcompact SUV.
Yeah, those are really huge this year. They've been around for a while in the form of the Nissan Juke, the VW Tiguan, other cars like that. But this year we saw the Honda HR-V, the Mazda CX-3, and the Fiat 500X really coming on strong.
Now, with gas prices dropping so drastically over the last, I would say, 6 months, dramatically, I'm just making up
I think dramatically is a good word.
Right, in the dictionary, dramatically. Dramatically over the last 6 months or so, do you think that there is really, because cars take like 5 years to actually go from concept into production. Do you think that now we're way behind the 8 ball, that we kind of missed out on the gas price dropping?
I think anybody who thinks that gas prices aren't going to go back up has been smoking some newly legalized marijuana. We've all seen gas prices go down, gas prices go back up, and it strikes me as amusing that anybody would rush right out and buy a gas hog because gas prices are low today.
Yeah, they do.
But they
do. They do.
Yes. The other thing is these cars are the size of previous models that have gotten bigger. The HR-V is the size of the original CR-V.
All right. Yeah, that's true. I mean, every generation tends to get bigger, and when you make it smaller, as Toyota did with the Corolla, the generation before this one, people don't buy it. So you have to get them bigger again.
I think people are going to buy. Honda, of course, is a huge automaker, and the HR-V was really exciting, as was the CX-3. The Fiat 500X looks great, too. I think that a lot of people are going to buy these. They work very well for the urban environment. I think they're it's a great class of vehicles for Portland.
What about
for the more than urban environment? Jeep also has the new subcompact Renegade coming out.
Right, so which is probably on the same or similar platform to the X500X, right?
It is.
Yeah.
It's on a Fiat platform.
Right. All right, let's talk about muscle. There was plenty of power as well.
Boy, howdy. The muscle cars got more muscular this year. We saw the new GT350 Shelby Mustang. We saw the Cadillac ATS-V come out. Performance is on the minds of the automakers. I think we saw a great the horsepower race is on, is the short way of saying it.
Absolutely. And the new ATS-V, the specs look fantastic on that car. And it's a really nice-looking car as well.
There were a few sort of other releases which were notable, but they were all over the map. So Kia had a new Sorento, Chrysler had a new 300. There wasn't really a theme to it. There were sort of dotted cars, and I always think of LA as a sort of convertible market, or the sports car market where they were, and that's where Jaguar chose to unveil its F-Type and that sort of thing. But there wasn't really a strong theme this year, was there?
What you see a lot in LA is variants, trim levels, and green cars. The automakers keep their really important debuts for Detroit, F-150, Mustang, those kind of debuts.
Let's talk about a couple of the other cars, one which actually impressed me, which is the XR PHEV from Mitsubishi. The thing I like about this is you can plug it into your house if your power goes out, and it will charge your house, power your house for 10 days. Now,
Well, that was a concept, so it's not clear that they're going to make that, but.
And I think they are. The only one that I know they're not going to make is the new Lexus that they showed off, their convertible.
Yeah.
And they're not going to make that because they have plans to do other convertibles in the future.
There was definitely a lot of new stuff being shown at the concept level, most of which might get made. Volvo had a 2-engine hybrid that's similar in nature to the BMW i8, where they had an electric engine at the back of the car driving the rear wheels and a gasoline engine at the front on an XC90 platform.
Oli's standing next to me shaking.
I've heard of that.
Yeah.
Oli's been waiting for the release of this car for probably 2 years.
Yeah, they're calling it the T8, which is a twin engine when it's actually a motor in an engine, but we get the idea.
And some of the things that I really like about that car is the fact that there are going to be so many different forms of the XC90 as well. They're not just going to make a hybrid, plug-in hybrid. And they're calling it the world's first 7-seater plug-in hybrid, but they're going to make a gas and a 2-wheel drive as well as a 4-wheel drive. So they'll do lots of iterations of the vehicle.
Probably the most important car that Volvo has on its horizon.
Yes, Dennis from Volvo told me every single nut and bolt of that car is a Volvo. There's nothing that isn't a Volvo in there. All right, guys, well, that's good roundup of that. You can check out Jeff Zerschmidt. He does the Oregonians car stuff, and John Vincent is a contributor to the Portland Tribune car stuff and their local newspapers. You can read all about them. Jeff, I know you have the ATS in the newspaper.
Yesterday's paper.
John, you got articles in the Tribune as well?
I do. I can't exactly remember what we ran this
You
last
submitted
week,
them so long ago. Two of my favorite people and two of the best writers we have in our region. All right, Test Miles coming up. Peter Clover's here from Mobile West. He'll talk about how to get your car started automatically by just the push of a button while you may be in bed. That coming up next on Test Miles. I'm Nick Miles.
Throw it in neutral and coast in with testmiles.com.
Sunday morning, this is Test Miles, Portland's Automotive Radio Show at testmiles.com. Try following us on Facebook. Here's a fun fact you can impress your friends with. The fastest time for removing an engine and replacing it is 42 seconds. And Remote Starts is a radio-controlled device which is installed in your vehicle to preheat or cool the vehicle before you get into it. Once activated by pushing a button on your keychain, that's the keychain remote, it starts the vehicle automatically for a predetermined amount of time. Different models have keyless entry as well, and most of the new vehicles do bypass the alarm system and the factory anti-theft system, so the vehicles can start without an ignition key. Now, this bypass for the remote start and all the remote start, we have a specialist who happens to be a friend of the show. Peter Clover's here from Mobile West. Peter, these mobile devices that go into cars obviously can be fitted aftermarket.
Absolutely.
How much money are we talking about?
Well, it depends somewhat upon the car. A pre-2000 car without any security in the key, those can be done, starting about $200.
Okay.
Later model cars are going to take digital interfaces to replicate the chipset that's in the factory key. Those start at about $300, done and complete.
So what are we talking as far as complexity of installation? You take my car for a month, how long do you need it for?
No, I plan on half a day to a full day, especially on late model computer-controlled cars. Something we do every single day, and we've been doing this for 20-plus years.
All right.
So for us at Mobile West, this is not new. This is normal.
This sort of sparks a question about the mechanics and the electrical service and installation specialists that you employ. Do they spend 6 months a year at school every year learning the new models? How does that work?
Yes. These things are not to be installed in your driveway. They should not be installed do-it-yourselfers. Most chain stores have a very hard time trying to integrate these products.
That would be my next question. So this is not really something you can buy and then just install it yourself, unless you have an electrical engineering degree.
Absolutely. Or if you have, a late 80s, early 90s fuel-injected car, then it's probably only about 10 wires you've got to hook up. But yes, you have to have tools. You have to have test equipment. You have to have knowledge about cars, electrical, and wiring.
And if you have one of those cars like Brad has, where you have to stick the bar in the front and give it a turn to
crank,
that doesn't work with the automatic start.
Well, if we think about the 1920 proposition, yes, that's when you had neighborhood kid down the road. You
pay him to come and start the car.
He is the remote starter.
Right,
yeah,
right. Yeah.
Absolutely.
A trunk monkey would be perfect. All right, let's talk about, can you buy this and wrap it up under the tree for this holiday season and have it installed by you later?
Absolutely. There is a ton of that every year. And because it's a great gift. I mean, your wife, your partner, she's wanted this.
Right.
They've wanted this for a long time.
Right.
It's a great gift that us car guys in the world can make our wives happy every once in a while, or our partners, and it's
or a
simple
wife
and
can
easy.
make a husband very happy by putting that under the tree.
Absolutely.
That's a perfect question, and I don't want to use up all of our time, but a lot of time, ladies are intimidated about buying automotive stuff for their husbands or partner. Is this something they can come in and say, look, I know nothing about cars. I know he really wants one of these. Help.
Well, that's the whole point. I mean, at a fundamental level, we at Mobile West, we're here to make it easy. We are experts. We have everybody that works there has half a decade at bare minimum experience. Most guys have 20 years.
All right, so
we're here to make it happy. We're make it easy, and we're here to make it comfortable.
Now, a few quick questions for you. What if you already have an alarm system? You can bypass that?
Absolutely. Actually, that's an important part of the task, is because any factory security that's on the car needs to be bypassed in order to start the car.
And if I want to put an alarm on later, I can, even if
you can do it later, although it's best, if you do want them all integrated, it's best to have one key set, one remote control that does everything on the car flawlessly.
And do these things last for 10 years or 5 years? How long do they last for?
The good ones are warranted as long as you own the car, period.
All right.
We have remote starters that people still have using daily for 20 years.
Is there vehicles that you can't have this installed on?
There are a few limited vehicles that you can't have them installed on, but
it's unlikely you'll have that problem.
Right. There's very, very few. I mean, we encountered a late model Fiat last week that had a specific key for the car that cannot be replicated yet at this date.
Oh, well. Interesting. All right, let's switch gears a little bit. And I know that you've been working on a couple of very special show cars that are going to be at CES, I understand, for Jaguar.
Yes, Jaguar Land Rover Cars UK.
Just in case anybody doesn't know, that's Jaguar. Jaguar for all the Americans out there.
Yes, I'm a Portlander. I can't speak British correctly.
So tell me what
British
you've been doing.
can't even speak British correctly.
You're all fired. What have you been doing for them?
Well, we have been building a couple research and project vehicles where they're exploring new tech, and we're integrating it into the vehicle in a way that's actually like factory.
Can you tell me anything about it, or is it that top secret that you can't
It is some pretty top secret stuff going on. There's an XJF that we did last year that was on our Facebook post that should be at the Intel booth at CES, showing off future tech. And there is one of the Range Rover, the big car, that we are in the process, the full-size Range Rover. We are currently, it's in our shop. Come by and look. We are doing out-of-this-world things to it in a way that's engineered to look like factory, with factory fit and finish, with OEM spec materials.
Yeah. I mean, they have some pretty wild tech there at Land Rover, Range Rover, JLR. One of the things that they had was the disappearing hood, and they have the windshield, which becomes a huge HUD system that you can see, and all that stuff's coming from them as well.
Absolutely. Right now we're doing some things that pertain to auto drive.
Oh, that's a new system. Yeah. Well, I don't want to get you into too much trouble. I do want to quickly mention, as we run out of time for this segment, one of the things that I experienced demos of was Apple CarPlay and Android Auto at the LA Auto Show, where you plug your phone in and it basically is projected up onto the screen. The phone's disabled. Is that coming in aftermarket products?
Oh, it's in stock.
It's in stock. So
oh, no, Alpine and Apple partnered up to build an aftermarket Apple CarPlay deck. It's called the ILX 007. It is fantastic. It works flawless. We've installed a dozen of these so far, and we've only had it a month.
Now, it does come in the first car to have them is the Hyundai Sonata, the 2015s, which will next year have both Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. But if you want Apple CarPlay now, Peter will be able to help you at Mobile West.
I have it in stock. We can plug it in. It's a absolutely beautiful piece. And on our website, you can see links. We've on our Facebook page, we've even gone ahead and done video description, about a 5-minute explanation of that in a car. We did that in a Lexus RX 350 hybrid. Excellent. And, let's just put it this way. The customer could not pay us fast enough. It was so beautiful. It exceeded their expectations.
Perfect. How can we get hold of Mobile West?
MobileWestPDX.com or stop on by 140 Northeast Broadway, kitty corner from Broadway Toyota and Kia. That's our home for now. But
we'll be moving next year. Right?
We will be moving next year. We've
procured new.
We've procured a new building. We're taking over the old Roth BMW dealership at MLK in Tillamook.
Oh wow!
And
I can't wait for that.
February,
you'll have new digs.
It will be a game changer.
Perfect. All right, one of the companies that's endorsed by Test Miles, Mobile West, everything for your in-car entertainment and more, including fabulous upholstery, anything you possibly imagine. Peter and his team will help you with that. Check them out, Mobile West, one of our favorites. So you're listening to Test Miles and FM News 101 KXL. We will be back to talk about what's been in the news and also a general chit-chat with the team. I'm Nick Miles.
It's Test Miles on FM News 101.
Very appropriate music for a Sunday morning. You're listening to Test Miles, FM News 101.
Nothing says Thanksgiving like.
Yes, like inappropriate music. Sunday morning, Test Miles, Portland's Automotive Radio Show. Try us at testmiles.com or follow us on Twitter at Test Miles. A fun fact for you to impress your friends with. While in prison, Hitler wrote Mercedes dealer, and I've heard this plenty of times before, but he basically wrote Mercedes a letter begging them for a Mercedes. And then clearly afterwards he decided to go out and invent a car for himself because he couldn't get them to give him a press car. None of us have been so bold as to do that ourselves.
That would require a journalist to have some initiative and do something.
Yes, absolutely.
So that's not going to happen.
This is the part of the show where we test the knowledge of our in-studio guests. Just counted them. I don't think we've ever had 8 people in the studio before, but we have 8 people this morning, and they all have a chance at the news quiz. So let's see how much you know about what went on in this week's automotive news. I will say, since you don't all have buzzers, you're just going to have to holler at me. What type of vehicle does poorly in new crash test ratings?
Ding.
Brad.
My old guy horn beat your ding. So,
what's the answer?
The answer is my favorite vehicle, the minivan.
Is it, John? Is it your favorite vehicle too?
It is.
Yeah, the minivan. They did really poorly.
And you know why?
Which is?
It's because when you're driving the car and the kids are driving you nuts in the back seat, you just turn into a wall.
That's Brad's opinion, and Brad's only, not the opinion of the show, not endorsed by Test Miles. The only one that did well was the one that you have, John, the Honda Odyssey. Everything else, and it was top safety pick plus. Everything else did amazingly poorly, and the one that did below poorly was the Nissan Quest, which was actually very interesting.
It did very badly, and if you watch the video, it's scary to watch.
Yeah, so it is going away this year. All right, who is trying to reinvent the wheel by coming out with an airless tire? Sean?
That'd be Michelin. They're coming out. And I think a lot of people have seen them because Costco's has them at the front of the store on some ATVs, but it's a little rubber tire with some rubber. They're taking away the the airless tire, excuse me, so no flats, basically.
It's really interesting. We have, I would say, probably about 4.5 auto journalists in this room, and nobody picked up on that mistake. It's Costco without an S on the end. I always get beaten up. Costco's. Every time I say it, I get punched at home. It's Costco, not Costco's.
There's multiple of them. So.
who is talking to other suppliers about the airbags keeping up with demand for the recall? I know Oli's trying to hit his buzzer. He's the only one.
It's Honda. They have about 16 million cars worldwide. They're getting airbag recalls. 10 million of those here in the States, and they're looking at upping production from. Even if they up production from 300,000 to 450,000, it's still about 2 years till they can cover all those. So they're checking with other places as far as potentially going through them as well.
Yeah, I'm sure that Takata is not everybody's favorite to put airbags in their vehicles right now. All right, what state is suing GM for $3 billion for delayed recalls? Is that Sean again?
Yes. Arizona is suing them for just lack of not getting the recalls done in time for people.
Absolutely, and I'm sure they won't be the last as well. Who's claiming up to 29% miles per gallon boost in their trucks? Zhenya's so desperately hitting his phone. There you go, Zhenya.
That would be Ford. Now that they've come out with their aluminum body for the F-150, they're saying that they're going to get 29% boost in fuel economy for their future trucks.
No, I think when we were on the Ford F-150, I'm not sure who went on that launch, but I went on the launch of the Ford F-150, they were saying 5 to 29% that they were going to save in fuel economy. Now they're getting a little bit bold here and saying 29%, so that's going to be interesting. All right.
Ford's always the type of people who would take bold risks, like the aluminum F-150, and then they threw an EcoBoost engine last gen. They're very bold with this type of stuff.
Although, I would argue with that and say that there was a new aluminum Range Rover and Jaguars way before this. And in fact, Jaguars have been aluminum. I remember in 2006 going around the Jaguar factory in England, and they were preparing to do the rivets and the glues on aluminum bodies.
Aluminium.
Oh, yes, aluminium. Jaguar aluminium. Yeah, the trouble is, if I talk too much like an American, then people just, what did he say? My first sales meeting when I was at the CW, I'd finished doing all of my presentation, and the sales manager, Greg Flock, turned to the rest of the team and go, what did he just say? My 10-minute speech. All right, you're listening to Test Miles and FM News 101. Watch our TV segments at testmiles.com or check us out on social media. Thanks to Peter Clover, to Jeff Sershmead, to John Vincent, to Brad, Zhenya, Sean, Oli for being in this week's show. If you need more car stuff, listen to us or download the podcasts at testmiles.com. We will be back next week with more interesting, fun, entertaining car stuff. Until then, put your pedal to the metal and get down on that road.
Test Miles, like NASCAR, but with one right turn. TestMiles.com.